Hi, I'm Matt Cutter, the founder of Upslope Brewing Company in Boulder, Colorado, and you're watching the Beer Diaries.
Here we go.
Hey.
Hello, Greg.
Hey, Danny. How are you?
Welcome to Upslope, man.
Ah, my pleasure. It's great being here. Thanks and congratulations. We're here today on the big grand opening.
Yeah.
The second one. You've won.
Yeah, after 5 years, the first opening in the other location. So we opened today here. Let's go inside, drink a beer, and
Yeah, wonderful.
welcome to our tap room. Here's where we welcome the people to test all the different kind of beers we do. So this is where all the specialty malt is a storage. Here's the mill room. So the specialty malt is like the spices on the food. You know?
Right.
You don't put all the spices. So you use 80%, around 90, depending on the recipe of base malt.
Right.
And the other 20, 10% or whatever percent is on a specialty malt.
Yeah. Well, I think what people don't realize, like for a stout, you don't need that much, dark malt to make a dark
Exactly.
beer. What's in here? This is some
This
high
is
tech.
the boiler room. Here where all the heat of the brewery came from. It's the on-demand boiler. It's a kind of new technology and just turns on when there is a need of heat.
So would that run the kettle, like the heat?
Yeah, all the steam being produced for the boiler
Yeah.
goes to the jackets on the kettle
Oh, wow.
and the mash down and the hot liquor tank. The same way we are bringing base malt from the silo with another agar
Right.
and goes to the mill. So we add the specialty malt by hand, and now it's a lot because base malt we are adding by shoulder too, because it's still the silo is not in operation.
So the base malt.
It's over 35, 45 of these bags. Then we had to
So you have
carry
big
on.
burly guys now working here to.
So they're getting in good shape. So let's go to the
brew house?
The brew house. Yeah.
Awesome. And the brew house is where the magic happens.
Exactly. We have cold liquor tank. We have hot liquor tank. That's the mash down and kettle and
Yeah.
whirlpool. It's a 3-vessel brew house.
Yeah.
It's a 30-barrel system.
And you're going up from, I think it's from a 7.
We come from a 7, and our setup is 30-barrel system with 120 barrels fermenters.
Great space, and you can see how it's going to expand.
I'm designing the brewery to certain volume of beer to hit
Yeah.
a year. So instead of patching like we are used to in the brew industry, everybody is patching and patching and patching, until we get smarter and say, hey, we should, get a place that allows us to grow
big notch,
big enough. So we need to expand. We buy a fermenter and plug it into the roof.
It's already pre-built. One thing that's interesting with you guys, and we'll walk over there in a second. Why don't we kind of go that way? Maybe is the canning. Like you guys,
That's the canning line.
You guys were cans right from the beginning.
So this is the canning line or packaging area.
Yeah.
That's the bright tank. You see those are the filters.
Yeah, that was filtering
We don't
there,
have a fence pipe system like a big breweries, and everything is moved by hoses and portable pumps.
So you put something in, connect it with hoses.
Connect to hoses, move with pump into the rotary filler. Here's Eric, one of our brewers, and Fraser, engineering house.
He's Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah, it's an 18-head rotary canning line with 4-head simmer. We can run this machine around 120 cans or 160 cans a minute.
Yeah.
And cans come from the palletizer. They are being pushed to this conveyor belt, and cans goes inside the rinser. They twist, and they twist back again, and goes to the head filler.
Right. Awesome.
After being filled, the can goes to the simmer, where the lids
It gets stuck on, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems all around. It looks like easy thing, but it's a whole.
It's got to pinch it too, right? It's got to seal it too.
Yeah, it's like a double hook that is being. It's a whole it's the whole thing, you know. Like there are books and books about how make a good sims, and it's a big deal. And it's not like just put a crown on top of a bottle. We are going to the finished product area.
So this is like the last step before it gets shipped, basically.
Yeah, here's the walk-in cooler.
Yeah.
So cans, full pallet of beer are coming over here. And yeah, and we pile this over here and waiting cold until the distributors arrive and we ship the beer from here.
So what do we have here? We have a whole bunch of different hops. What are tell me about these.
So we have hops here from all around the world. We have hops from Czechoslovakia, from Patagonia, from England, from Germany, from US. We have hops all from all around the world. It's a crazy thing about this, but it's only time in history that the brewer has this opportunity to brew whatever you want, you know, and that's why you go to any craft brewery and you go to the tap room and you have 10 different kind of styles of beers, you know, 15 different styles of beers.
All over the place,
From
all different kinds of styles, origins.
So that's a nice thing about that.
Cool. I'm getting cold in here though.
Yeah, let's go to the storage cans over there. Right. We have oral flag beers and cans. We would love to put more of our beers in cans.
Yeah.
Like I told you, you know, we have 24 taps in the tap room. And
that's great. That's amazing. They said there's 16 going for the opening. It's like, wow.
So yeah. So and we'll have more, and we'll continue adding. The point is, we package 8 different cans and beers last year.
Yeah.
And we are a brewery of 4,000 barrels, you know?
I know,
and we put 8 different cans of beer.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, cool. I think that's the whole tour. So we'll probably talk a little bit interview, talk a little more philosophy and stuff. So I'm kind of done. I got a little phone, but cheers, thanks.
Cheers.
We'll see you in a little bit. Hey folks, I'm Greg Zeschuk here at the Upslope Brewery. I'm in Boulder, Colorado. I'm in fact at their second location. Today's a very special day because it's their grand opening of their second location with the team that got it all started. Started the first one, started this one. I'll introduce the gang. Danny Pages is the Director of Brewing Operations. Matt Cutter is the founder. And Henry Wood is the Director of Sales and Marketing. And this group is responsible for all these amazing beers that we're going to try in a moment. But first thing I'm really curious about is, how do you guys get started? I mean, it's one thing to sort of go from, hey, I want to do a brewery, I want to make a brewery, to here we are sitting in your second location. How did that kind of transpire?
So I've been homebrewing since about 1995. Loved everything about it, the process, the results, most of the time. And then continued to do that over the years and put a business plan together way back in 1996 when craft beer was pretty young. I reached out onto an industry website called Pro Brewer, very well-known, well-used industry website, and saw Danny's post on there that he was from Argentina. He had started a brewery in Ushuaia, Argentina, and he was looking to partner up with someone in Colorado.
We met with Matt and was a really good feedback from the beginning, and I showed him what I did in Argentina. I started a brewery with a couple partners over there from really zero. We didn't have so much money at that time. I'm starting a chicken coop over there. Wow. and just bringing it up, you know, working, and every coin we save put in the tanks or in equipment they had to build by ourselves. And yeah, we're the first brewery over there in Patagonia, in Ushuaia. And so I learned a lot, and we started growing over there and started selling beer to Antarctica and all the brew pubs and in Ushuaia. And
Did you just say Antarctica?
Yeah, we
so
got
who's drinking beer in Antarctica?
It's like the scientifics, when they go over there, they stop in Ushuaia and they just buy stuff.
They buy it all out. They buy all the beer they can.
For the longest time, Beagle Brewery had the only tap handle on Antarctica at the Spanish research station.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
They lost a keg in the sea and the port one time. Also, yeah.
So the boats would literally pull up.
Yeah.
You'd load up beer and they just keep on going to Antarctica.
Yeah, and so we meet with Matt, and he has a really tight budget for starting a brewery, but for me, I knew we could do it.
We started out with the empty space over at Lee Hill. It was the space was formerly a bakery. We started carving it out to be a brewery, and then reached out to the business community, anybody I knew, to find director of sales and marketing.
And that's where you come in.
That's where I come in. So a mutual friend of ours put us together, and we sat down for coffee. But at the beginning, there was no beer. I think the first 2 or 3 weeks I was volunteering, and the first day of that, the equipment came in from on a container, and we unloaded the brew house and
you
the
put it together.
fermenters. And in the meantime, I had to go out and learn the industry and go meet with these liquor stores. And you know, it's fantastic here in Colorado. You go in and you meet the decision maker, and you're like, "Hey, would you sell my beer?" I didn't have any samples for them to taste yet. I had a picture of what the can was going to look like, and they're like, "Sure, I'll buy it once, and if it sells, I'll buy it twice." And they're like, "You better get in here and make sure it sells." So we eked out probably about 50 cases of beer in our first batch, and loaded it up in my little Nissan pickup truck and drove it down to the closest liquor store to the brewery, and then worked my way out from there, and slowly opened more and more accounts, and spent nights and weekends in those accounts hand selling the beer and tasting people on it and introducing it to the market.
It became very clear that we needed more fermenters as soon as possible, as Henry was scrambling to get enough product that he was selling.
So, but then, I mean, now fast forward to last year. I mean, how many barrels last year? It was over 5,000, wasn't it?
5,600 barrels, 7 barrels at a time.
Wow.
We started in a particular time. Was the crisis here? Hops shortcut?
Oh yeah, shortage. Yeah, I mean, there's a shortage.
Yeah. It was kind of rough that first start. You know, like nobody wanted to get any risk. And
during the hop crisis, what did you guys do? Like, you're making beer. It's hard to get hops. What tactics did you use, or anything interesting?
So I go to Danny and I say, Danny, what about Beagle Brewery's supplier in Patagonia?
So, and then we started contacting the farmers over there, and
that was your introduction to importing. We're going to import hops from Argentina.
From Argentina, so
why not? It sounds like complete sense.
Yeah, so it was crazy. We did it. Patagonian hops is more earthy, tasty flavor. You know, it's kind of different. And then the Cascade from USA, and we got happy with some results and some beers, and we say we should keep doing this.
So one thing I was curious about, the name Upslope. Where did that come from?
I'm originally from Cleveland and had moved here in 1991, and surrounding us were, of course, the mountains and this unique weather event that happens here on the Front Range, where moisture comes up from the Gulf of Mexico and cold air coming from the northwest clashes right here on the Front Range, and the weather turns around and it goes from east to west up the slope of the mountain, dumping all this precipitation, usually in the form of snow that we've had here for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
These big storms. And to me, the term meant something very local that happens here on the Front Range, and excitement and chaos that these storms create on the Front Range.
Right.
It seemed like a good name to hang our hat on.
For sort of an exciting, disruptive new business you guys are making.
Exactly.
And I mean, you guys have been running, I think, about 4.5 years now. Is that about right?
That's right.
What's it been like? I mean, we talked a little bit. I mean, a lot of growth, I'd imagine, because you've grown from your first location now to this, pretty spacious location here. What's that 4.5 year run been like for you guys?
It's been really easy, right, Danny?
Fast.
So one of the things, obviously philosophically, about what you guys did, right from the beginning, I think as well, was a lot of environmental consciousness. You guys are very concerned about the environment. It seems to be very much a Colorado trait. Like, folks here appreciate what they have and want to protect it. How much did that go into planning how you built things? So is that like first and foremost one of the key things you guys imagined?
First and foremost, deciding to go with cans. Cans are the single most recycled container on the planet. A can that's on the shelf today and sold will be another can on the shelf within 60 days. The infrastructure around the world to recycle cans is better than any other package. So also 100% of a can is recycled. once it's in the stream, it's much better than any other kind of package for beer. And I would say that over every step of the way, if we can afford a greener option, or if we think long-term it's a better choice to make, then we'll go ahead and do that.
I saw a good example with the boiler, the on-demand boiler that we looked at earlier was a great example of that. Like, hey, as you said, maybe a little more money up front, but in the long term, you're saving, electricity and, water, all those things.
Also, from the very beginning, when we could make a greener decision, Henry and I ended up buying a CNG van, compressed natural gas, and it was about the same as a gasoline van. So we said, okay, let's give this a go and make that decision.
For sure. And so the scene in Colorado is really interesting. We're coming from Texas, so our last set of episodes were in Texas, and of course we walk into your stunning tap room, and we're like, wow, you guys really have it, great position to be in here. Is that the secret to how many breweries are here? What is it about Colorado? I think we talked a little bit of laws. Like, there just seems to be such an incredible history of brewing, a very incredible kind of just preponderance of great breweries. What is the ability to also sell directly? What are the things that you guys think go into that?
The brewing industry is like a brotherhood, and it's easier I remember when I moved here from Patagonia, Argentina, and Matt has one of his questions was, well, there is already like 4 breweries in town. What do you think about this? And I was a little concerned about that in the beginning too, but actually those things help you because you don't have to introduce a brewery, people who doesn't have the culture about the craft beer industry. The market was already there, and was easier to introduce ourselves to this community.
Is there a real sort of community atmosphere among the breweries?
I'd say so. It'll be interesting to see what happens to that as more and more breweries enter the market. Tap handles are tight, so we're competing for those for sure at restaurants and bars. And they're not growing cooler space as fast as they're growing breweries in liquor stores, so we'll see what that does. But for now, yes.
So now, it's interesting too, because the density here compared to other places is way further down the line than Texas or maybe Oregon is the other one that may be sort of in a similar scenario.
And I would say that on the brewing end of things, it's that brotherhood exists. On the sales and marketing, on the streets.
There's a little competition,
It's still friendly, but there's a little bit more competition.
Yeah. There's still an awful lot of market to grow into, and while the tap handles are still challenging, there's still lots of targets that if we can succeed and get sort of broader consumer appeal, well, there's lots of growth room, I think.
Now there's over 160 breweries in the state, and we're at about 5 million people. So while it's not, the most breweries per capita, it's definitely become ingrained in our culture, and I think it's developed its own brand. I think Colorado beer is a brand in and of itself.
So changing gears slightly, you guys have had great luck with medals. I think I was reading online, 4 medals, 4 years or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Most recent one was the American Brown, got a silver at GABF. We joked earlier about, okay, is the pressure on? Now there's this sort of expectation, but what do you think that's brought you guys as a brewery? What do those medals mean, and the sort of that consistency of quality that's demonstrated by them?
That first year, 8 months after we first, packaged our Pale Ale and our India Pale Ale, we go to the Great American Beer Festival, and we leave there with 2 bronze medals. One for this Belgian Pale, another for Dunkelweizen that we also have on tap today. And we were blown away. And at the same time, I guess it made us think that maybe we were onto something.
Yeah. You certainly get, it's natural, and it's deserved to sort of feel like, hey, the masters have spoken, the people who know said, you guys kind of know what you're doing. You can't go there and fluke out, I think, is the biggest thing, because there's so many beers in every category, so much competition.
All of these recipes, and I'm looking at these beers right here, have basically come out very organically.
Because I was going to ask you what recipes like. Do you do some consider market considerations, or you just?
It's really just good beer seems to bubble to the top. Let's throw
Turning a little bit here, turning a little bit over there, and another brewer involved, and now we should try with this different thing, and yeah, it was a whole evolution.
So a group of people kind of collaborate a little bit on the recipes.
Yeah, and we trust the palates and opinions of everybody that works here. And if somebody has an idea, we give them the opportunity to come out with it. That craft lager was 12 or 13 iterations to come to that beer as it sits there. And in the end, it was Danny who had another idea. He's like, let me just try one more thing, and he made some changes. And it was I'll never forget. It was in the Bright Tank one day, and I walk in the brewery, and everybody has a pint that had that in it, and I'm walking around the brewery, and what is going on here? There's something.
Right.
Like, you got to get this off the Bright Tank. So I tried it, and I remember calling Henry. I'm just like, you got to get in here, and try this craft lager. It's
and that's
fantastic.
become a pretty big flagship for you guys, right? Like that.
It's emerged as our #1 seller.
Well, we've been talking so much about beers. It's time for me to try some beyond the one I'm drinking, of course.
I'm out.
So what we usually do on the show, and we'll do today, is we laid out this lovely array of beers. Just sort of kind of quickly go through them and taste them and talk about them. You guys have like 4 main flagship beers. You have a number of seasonals that you do. We have some of the sort of flagships on this side, and some of the sort of notable seasonals. And start with the craft lager, which I had earlier. I mean, obviously, it was so clean and crisp, but also quite flavorful. Like a really nice grainy, like just well balanced, dry, clean. Like, I mean, you told a little story. It was like it was on the Bright Tank. I mean, when was this first brewed, and how did that? I think we kind of heard how you guys were just trial and erroring it.
So it was 2 years ago that we brewed that for the first time. A lot of friends would take the pail with them, backpacking, fly fishing, all these adventures out in the mountains, and they would bring a 6-pack of a light lager with them. They say, "I love your pail. I can't drink it all day on the river. Right. It's 5.8% ABV.
After drinking this, you'll never drink like a mass-produced lager. I mean, like it's still so flavorful. Like, it's interesting because I mean, I've had some craft lagers that kind of push too much in one direction, but this is so well balanced. Like, a hint of bitterness, like a little bit of graininess, super dry finish. Like,
actually, it's a good beer for introduce people who never test craft beer industry, or they don't like. They say they don't like it because they are not used to have different flavors or aromas, and they are used to more the mass-produced beer.
Yeah.
It's a really nice beer to introduce these people to the craft beer world.
For sure. So I'll move to the Pale. And how long was the Pale? Was one of the first ones, right?
That's our #1. Yeah.
Was this one of your recipes from back in the day, or was it?
It wasn't. It was in my business plan. It said amongst the 2 beers that we would package initially, a crisp, clear, dry pale ale. I like dry beers. You'll find that all of our beers have a very dry finish.
Well, does this have the Patagonian Cascade in it?
That has Patagonian Cascade.
Yeah, because it's it really has a very, very different nose and flavor. Like, it's very, like you said, very earthy. It's got, you get a bit of the citrus and pine resin, a little bit, but like what really strikes me was the
has like 3 different kinds of hops, and the Patagonian Cascade is one of those.
As you said, it's dry. More body than the lager, of course. I mean, like it's got a nice body, sort of medium body, whereas this is definitely a light body.
Yep.
But do you find it like a sort of showcase for the sort of the Patagonian hops, or is it more of this is just a great all-around pale, or how do you guys imagine it in the market?
We'd call it very well balanced. It's not overly bitter.
Yeah, not at all, no.
And was not intended to be that. It has a good, like you said, a good dry finish to it.
Yeah.
Unique because of the Patagonian hops.
Yeah.
But
what are the IBUs on it?
these are 35.
Around.
I was going to guess around 30-ish. Yeah. Again, it's almost like, okay, you've mastered this. Now you go to this one. A little more body, a little more hops. Now speaking of more hops, we go to the IPA, and this one's it's a darker IPA. It's an interesting one. Like, what are you doing from a malt perspective on this one? Are you doing something different?
We wanted a more malty, round IPA.
It's got a nice bitterness though. I mean, like it's got a nice bitter
Oh
attack.
yeah, it's over 70 IBUs.
Yeah, no, it's really a nice. I mean, again, it's sort of a bit more complex,
but it's
not unidimensional kind of nose and bitterness on it.
I think the magic on that one is the hops is balanced with the malt, and then it's like you can afford that bitterness with them.
It's got interesting. It's got a more complex aftertaste too. Like it doesn't have a hoppy aftertaste, but then you've got sort of there's a bit of malt in there somewhere. You're sort of, whereas a lot of them obviously IPAs just completely overpower the malt, and there's no malt whatsoever in there.
That was a beer was an impact. I think when we came out with that beer, I remember Henry coming out and say we need to brew more of this. Like every time we brew it, we would run out.
It was so selling. This was a big.
That was #1 seller from the get-go before we had the lager. That was our #1.
What was it people were liking about it? Was it just it's a little bit different style of IPA? Was it a little?
I think that had a lot to do with it. One of the things, so I was at liquor store doors every Friday, Saturday, talking to customers, introducing it. And I had a lot of people come and tell me, hey, I don't like IPAs, but I like this IPA.
Yeah.
And I think it was the balanced bit to that beer. It's very smooth. The college students from CU love the fact that it was 7.2% ABV.
So it's
I had a college kid I was at Liquor Mart one night, and a college kid came to and said, you know what, ounce per dollar, like the ABV.
He did the calculation.
He did the calculation, and he knew it was the best value for his buzz. But that's not really a selling point for us.
You don't pitch that.
It's kind of funny. But yeah, I think it's such a smooth, balanced IPA.
It's got and the dryness plus the bitterness plus the maltiness gives you this okay, gotta have another sip, more than a lot of beers, I'm already I keep reaching back to it. So this is an American brown ale. So I threatened to ask you, the American, is it a little more hop than an English brown?
I would say that predominantly it has more hop character than a traditional English brown, and it doesn't have English ale yeast in it. It's American ale yeast.
Okay, got it.
And
got really lovely roasty notes on the nose, super.
Yes, and because it's a homebrew recipe that's grown up, the grain bill on it is very complex.
One thing to remember too, okay, these beers have been sitting here 20, 25 minutes. I mean, this thing still has a half finger of head on it. It's still giving off this really lovely nose on it. That's really impressive, actually.
As we modified that recipe over time, we brought down the bitterness. As a matter of fact,
it's not overly bitter.
No, and it was more bitter than that initially.
It's a little bit, but then the roastiness really
takes over.
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Really lovely.
So we kept notching back the bitterness. I was getting a little bit of an astringency from the bitterness, and I remember talking to Danny and saying, I think there's too much coffee malt in here or something. I'm getting this astringency, and I remember him saying, no, I know what it is. And so he brought back the bitterness a little bit and ended up with.
That's really good.
I mean,
it's always cheap for me to sort of side with the judges, but this is really, after someone labels something, one of the best beers. What a surprise! It's good. But no, it's a really tasty beer, actually.
And that's why we were really happy when we got the silver on that beer, because it was like a really team job.
Everyone feels like they share it, don't they? That's a really wonderful thing. Moving to the Belgian Pale. This is one of so these four were your regular flagships year-round beers.
Yes.
The Belgian Pale is commonly available. I think you said it was a winter to spring, or was that now we're towards the end of the season?
April through August.
Okay, so it's a spring to summer kind of beer.
Yes.
And this was I have to say I already just had a glass of this, so I'm pretty familiar, but I'll take a few more sips. But this was really, really interesting because you have that banana ester nose that you get from a Belgian, but then it's lighter and more delicate, but also complex. It's really interesting.
There was a Trappist brewer that our head brewer spoke to about how to properly spice that beer. with the coriander that it has in it to give it a nice
Oh, so it's got
evenness.
coriander in it.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there's that
Subtle
over there
though.
too.
Yeah, oh, very subtle.
I
That's
don't
the
think I
key.
would have caught that.
That's
Like-
good that you can't pick it out. If a brewer has done his job right, you will not be able to pick out individual spice flavors in a beer.
Yeah, but there's definitely, after you get over the sort of estery, banana stuff, there's spiciness of some type. And you're
That
kinda-
complements the
yeah,
Belgian character.
No,
of
and it
the
really does.
lager,
And
yeah.
then the finish is so dry. So, I mean, this is complicated because what I typically do is pick my favorite on every show. And I mean, I got a lot of difficult decisions to make here. I mean,
That's a good. Come on, man. We
well,
want to hear it.
no. I'd probably say the Belgian Pale. Yeah, I mean, I love the complexity of that, the Belgian Pale. It's just a delicious beer. So that's the show. I mean, this is really a chance to learn a bit about you guys, how you got together, what you make, why you make it, what things you value, which has been really great. When folks see this, they'll realize this was sort of a nice moment for you guys in time. And it's really, really exciting place to be in.
Big day.
Yeah, big day, onward and upward, So I think I'll go with this for my cheers. So
Cheers.
cheers, slancha,
Think of the Belgian.
slancha, Proust, salut, na zdrowie. So thank you, folks. Thanks for joining the Beer Diaries, our first episode in Colorado. This has been a wonderful experience. I want to thank you guys immensely.
Thank you.